say a few more words on the theme of peace.
Well, thank you to Basil for the kind invite to speak today at the 50th anniversary of C&D, and I'm delighted to join other members of the C&D and of Parks Christi as well at this celebration. As I said earlier, many of us I think had hoped at the founding of C&D, which I was not at of course, we had hoped that 50 years on we wouldn't need a C&D, because we had hoped that nuclear weapons would have been abolished and therefore our organisation, so to speak, wouldn't need to be here and still celebrating and so on, still campaigning and so on. Sadly that's not the case. Governments worldwide have decided to hold on to nuclear weapons because famously, as they said, they don't want to appear naked at the negotiating table. That's very sad, and I think that the intellectual arguments have been made. I believe that the intellectual arguments have been won, but unfortunately there is this fear factor, and we must try and campaign to reduce that fear factor among the minds of ministers. It seems to me that ministers lose some of their radicalism when they enter government, and we need to be ensured that they retain that radicalism if we can. There were a couple of items which said locally that we could perhaps campaign on. One is that we as a local authority, and indeed hopefully the Greater Manchester authorities, would not accept the nuclear waste proposals that have been communicated to us by the Environment Secretary. I don't think that we as a local city or as a local community should become dumps for nuclear waste, and I would hope the Salford City Council will take that decision, and I would hope too that we could spread that across the Greater Manchester area. And the second area, as I mentioned earlier on, we are in some form of a credit crunch, and therefore perhaps we're moving into a recession potentially. I believe that the billions of pounds that our government has now said they're going to spend on renewing nuclear weapons should be transferred into supporting our local economies, both locally and nationwide. And I think that that argument can now be won rationally and by people like us campaigning on that, and I believe that even the right-wing press would accept the need for us to transfer that money from nuclear weapons into the general economy. And those were the points I made. And equally to congratulate the C&D for continuing for the past 50 years, and I would hope that in the not too distant future we will have government ministers both nationally and internationally who will see ultimately the folly of continuing to waste billions of pounds of taxpayers' money on nuclear weapons that we say we will never use. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Jim.
I'd just like to wish peace to all fellow activists all over the world on this very special day, particularly to our friends in Hiroshima, and we hope that we'll never ever see another Hiroshima. I'd like to thank Councillor King for having the courage to come out today, and the Liberal Democrat councillors who've helped us. I do think one of the things he said that was really important about the nuclear waste, not just to the people of Salford but to people all over the country, if we have nowhere to dump the waste then we won't be taking it, and it may make people who are making the waste realise that they can't just dump it on people, then what they're going to do. And I want to appeal to ordinary people on the ground there. Challenge your councillors, challenge your council, people in Salford. When you see this in the papers, if you don't, ask what's happening, otherwise it may be in Salford. Yes, money's tempting, but we need money for other things, particularly health services, social services, children's services, youth services. We don't want nuclear waste. And I really do think if people can take this, what seems a small issue, but actually it's a very big issue, do something with it, then it mean that your city's going to be safer. And I really do think that that was a really important point. So I thank Councillor King for bringing it up, and I hope the rest of the council in Salford will take this on board and flatly refuse it, because if you don't, the people of Salford will, and they'll lose faith in you as their representatives. So thank you for allowing me to say this little bit, and as again, peace to everybody, peace to the world. Thank you.
So we gather here every year to commemorate the anniversary of what happened in Hiroshima, and each year when we think about it, I suppose for everybody different things come into their mind, and one of the things I'm always thinking, well, maybe I should say this or that or read a poem or whatever, but this morning it seemed appropriate to read this. It's from Job. Then from the tempest Yahweh said, "Who is this obscuring my designs with empty-headed words? Brace yourself like a fighter. Now it's my turn to ask questions, and yours to inform me. Where were you when I laid the Earth's foundations? Tell me, since you're so well informed, who decided the dimensions of it? Do you know? Or who stretched the measuring line across it? What supports its pillars at their base? Who laid its cornerstone? Who pent up the sea behind closed doors when it leapt tumultuous out of the womb? Have you ever in your life given orders to the morning, or sent the dawn to its post? Have you journeyed all the way to the sources of the sea, or walked where the abyss is deepest? Have you been shown the gates of death, or met the janitor of the shadowland? Have you an inkling of the extent of the world? Tell me all about it if you have. Which is the way to the home of light, and where does darkness live? You could then show them the way to their proper places, or put them on the path to where they live. If you know all this, you must have been born with them. You must be very old now. Can you fasten the harness of Pleiades, or untie Orion's bands? Can you guide the morning star season by season, and show the bear and its cubs which way to go? Has God's critic thought up an answer? Do you really want to reverse my judgment and put me in the wrong, to put yourself in the right?